Alright, so this is gonna be more of like a just random, kind of improvised, kind of like Charlie-esque video. Because if you didn't know, right, and you didn't read the title, I might make a thumbnail, I might not. Essentially, there is a trend going on Twitter. A lot of slander going on Twitter. Now, I want to make it clear, I'm not gonna be biased, okay? I love both Chainsaw Man, I love, My Hero Academia. I haven't read the manga for any of the shows. I do know what happens in Chainsaw Man, right? But, I'm not gonna spoil anything. So basically, what's been going on Twitter recently, very recently, probably like the last 6 hours, is people have been comparing, and because this is from a lot of people who, maybe not 6 hours, maybe like more than that, a lot of people are comparing Rizy, who I'll probably pop up here when I make the video somewhere on the screen, and Bakugo from My Hero Academia. Now, the reason is because I should be obvious, they both have very similar powers, and they both have explosions, right? They both shoot explosions, whatever. Now, from what I understand and what I've seen, there is a lot of slander when it comes to Bakugo. Now, I have seen up until season 7. I have not seen any of season 8. I've heard that he does fight Shigaraki again, because he did fight Shigaraki in, or whatever he is now, in season 7, and that's when, spoilers if you haven't watched the show, there's obviously spoilers, that's when his heart almost exploded, like, he almost died. um, I think he, gets back up and fights him in season 8, I don't know, I haven't seen it, that's not the point. The point is that there's a lot of people on Twitter who are genuinely saying that Rizy can be Bakugo. And I know part of it's rage bait. I know it's just funny slander. But look, slander eventually gets to the point where people will believe you now. Like, it'll get to a point where people will make arguments that aren't actually valid or aren't even right, and they'll actually believe. So then you're just gonna have a bunch of people who are gonna say, "Oh no, but she actually does solo. She actually does beat him." Relax, okay? I think power scaling in general is very toxic. I don't like it. So I'm just gonna try to have fun with this video. I'm gonna just show some Twitter posts that I found, and make points. All right, because I want to clear up this debate so that there's no arguments made about it. There's no nothing. No one gets into a heated debate, because there shouldn't be a debate about it if we're being realistic. Now, in order to discuss these characters, right, and how powerful they are, I feel like you should go watch. I'm gonna make a review on the movie. I know Charlie made a movie review on the movie. A lot of people probably did. I suggest you go watch the movie. Go watch the movie. You should watch Chainsaw Man season 1. But if you don't want to, or you haven't, and you want to go see the movie, go see the movie. It's a great movie. Spoilers, I will say. I'd say like a good 3/5 of it is like more of Denji and like him getting not intimate, like romantic with Rizy and his like conflicting feelings, everything like that. And then I'd say the last 2/5 is, again, I said spoilers, so if you cry and bitch and moan, just know I said spoilers. It's him getting betrayed, and then the fight scene, everything like that. So with that being said, I think you should go see the movie, because then you'll understand, you'll see more of what her powers is. Because the thing is that I think the only examples that you get to see of her powers are in this arc, in the Control Devil arc. Um, and that's when she's fighting at the Chainsaw Devil, but they all get washed, all the hybrids. So, and people who watch the anime and who watch the movie aren't gonna read the manga and aren't gonna know that. So, no point in even saying that. But I'll say this. from watching the movie, from what I can remember, when it comes to her powers, and I'm going to debunk a couple of things, but let's just talk about her raw strength. When it comes to her raw strength, I would say her power caps out roughly, maybe like slightly above large building level. Because she can produce very big explosions, and they're powerful. But a lot of the destruction, I feel like that came from that fight, was from the Typhoon Devil. If we're being real. A lot of that destruction came from the Typhoon Devil. So, and while she does do a lot of damage to, like, buildings and stuff, I think her, like, the strongest attack that she did, and I think, honestly, her max power that we see caps out at, like, large building level. If I had to be real. Now, her strongest, in my opinion, advantage isn't her, like, powers or her AP, attack potency. I would say it's more of her durability. However, she's not immortal. Okay, for the people who are saying she's immortal, and I know a lot of people are like, oh, well, she was able to walk around without her head. Now this is where we get into the true explanation of it, alright? So, first off, let's talk about the concept of her being immune to explosions. Now, this is just false. If she was somehow immune to explosions themselves, I can see being resistant, obviously, because she uses her explosions herself. I think she's resistant to the heat produced by them, or maybe even immune to the heat produced by them. And I think that she is resistant to explosions, but not immune to them, okay? I don't think it's ever clearly stated that the devils in the Chainsaw Man universe are resistant to what their concept is, or what they, conceptualize, whatever, however you would put it. Alright? Because if you don't know, the devils in the Chainsaw Man universe represent concepts, in a sense, and they gain power from how much fear that concept brings. Like, darkness is a primordial fear, because a lot of people fear the darkness, a lot of people fear the unknown, and that's why he's so powerful, right? Now, that's a bad example, because, I don't think you can hurt him with darkness, because I don't know how you would weaponize that, but, like, take the Chainsaw Man, the Chainsaw Devil, right? If you shoved a chainsaw in his chest, it would probably still do damage. It may not kill him, because the hybrids are very durable. And that's another thing. Because people like to say, oh, Bomb Devil. She's not the Bomb Devil, she's a hybrid. Alright, she has a piece of the Bomb Devil inside of her. And just like how Denji has Pochita as his heart, right? That's the ripcord, everything like that. It's probably like, I don't know, her throat or a part of her spinal cord or something. Alright? So, she's not the Bomb Devil. So even if the Bomb Devil is immune to explosions, which not all explosions come from bombs, also, there is a nuclear bomb or nuclear weapons devil, so she isn't, like, encompassing all explosives, right? Not all bombs, technically. Even if the devil itself, the Bomb Devil, was immune, she wouldn't be immune. So, and if she was immune to explosions, then she'd have to be immune to the force that comes with the explosion, which would mean that she is just immune to force and impact in general, which that wouldn't make any sense. Because then she would be actually overpowered. Like, she wouldn't be able to get hurt. So, that's that out of the way, right? And when it comes to the immortality and regenerative aspects, in my opinion, now, I could be wrong, I could be right, I don't know if this is stated or officially, but I think the whole, like, her running around with her head cut off, again, they are not immortal, but they are very durable, and they can regenerate. Obviously, Chainsaw Man has been cut, I'm pretty sure it was cut in half, like this, and in the movie, I'm pretty sure he was, like, beaten up badly, like, I'm pretty sure he was missing limbs and stuff, and he was able to regenerate, okay, because He was able to drink blood, which is how they kind of regenerate. So I presume her ability to just take her head off and use that as a bomb is an ability. And it's not something she can just do infinitely. You know what I mean? Because she can regenerate, but I don't think it's something that she can just do infinitely and, oh, she can just take her limbs off and use them as explosives as much as she wants. Because she has to regenerate that limb, and regenerating that limb would require her to either drink blood or just, I mean, she doesn't need to do it every single time to regenerate because, that's not how that works. But I'm assuming if it's a big enough wound, or if she does it too much, then yeah, she would have to do that to regenerate. Okay. Again, I don't know if that's stated or not. I don't know if that's stated to be opposite, but regardless, I don't think that she can just do that infinitely. That wouldn't make sense. Okay. Because the way people are picturing it is that she can just get torn apart, annihilated, whatever. Now, I know devils are immortal unless Chainsaw Man, like the Chainsaw Devil, eats them, and then their concept gets erased, therefore they get erased. But, A, she's a hybrid, and B, I don't, like, devils get reincarnated, meaning their bodies can be killed, in a sense. Right? So, that wouldn't make sense if she was just somehow the exception and she could regenerate from any wound and regenerate infinitely. So, enough about that. That's Reezy, right? She's not completely immortal. She can't regenerate from every single wound. I think a lot of that is just cope. It's either cope or it's bait. But regardless, okay, it's not true. Now, let's talk about Bakugo. Now, again, I didn't watch any of Season 8, so I don't know how badass he gets. But I did watch Season 7. I did see him fight. I've seen him fight plenty of enemies. Alright? I've seen him fight plenty of times. I've never seen any of the movies. I don't know if any of the movies are canon. But, yeah. And, I mean, watch the show. That's all I'm gonna say. Watch the show. If you watch the show, like, seasons, even just watch season 7, when he's, like, at his peak, I don't think there's no chance. Because another thing you guys have to realize is that, and I'm gonna bring up a tweet that talks about it, you have to realize that Bakugo would also be somewhat resistant to explosions. Because he literally produces nitroglycerin like sweat that explodes on his skin and off of his hands. So his skin would have to be naturally somewhat resistant. Now, obviously, if he uses it too much, it hurts. But it doesn't even seem like it burns his skin. It's more of just like his muscles. Because obviously quirks are a part of you. Quirks are like a muscle. You have to work to build them. Right? That's when they did that whole training. I don't think I need to explain it. I genuinely think if you just watch the show, because I think this is coming down to, like, Chainsaw Man fans who... I don't even think it's Chainsaw Man fans. That's the craziest part. Because this whole argument wasn't something, like, years ago when the Bomb Girl arc was a thing, right? Because, like, fans are going to read the manga, are going to know all about this stuff. I think it's just the anime watchers. I literally think it's just the people who wanted to watch the anime. Now, obviously, I know feats are a lot more impressive looking when they're in animation than when they're just in in drawing form. But still, I think a lot of these people are probably coming from the anime and are not, like, coming from the manga where, her feats were already present, what she's done, and her power. So, that's my whole argument. Watch the show. I mean, he's just faster, stronger, and he's not bad in combat either. Like, I get Reezy has been trained for combat. He's also very good with using his explosions and in combat. I mean, he's, like, probably top 3 in the entire class? That's why he was first place in the festival. To be fair, Todoroki didn't go all out, but, I mean, 3rd place. I would say current right now before time skip, either second or third place. Like, strongest, wise. I think Midoriya obviously takes the cake. Right now, at least. The motherfucker is strong as hell, though. Again, I haven't seen Season 8, so I don't know. Anyway, I did want to show, just because this is where, like, the slander part has come in. Like, this is what people are talking about when it comes to slander. You know. And this is where I got the durability from, too. Is, because, like, this person's talking about, I'm not going to say what they're saying, but, you know, I need to understand quirks are physical abilities. Bakugo's durability also nuts, too. Exactly. Like, his quirks are part of their anatomy, right? As again, they're like a muscle. So he would have to be somewhat durable to that. He would have to be somewhat durable to her explosions. But like this is the first thing I saw about it. And like I get it's funny, you know. Again, I don't think power scaling should be taken seriously because the issue with power scaling is people just like they get so upset over it. And in reality, a lot of what power scaling is just like who you like personally. You know, that's all power scaling is. It's just who you like personally. And then you got, you know, art like this. A lot of it's just art of Bakugo getting absolutely fried. And look, I'm not gonna sit here and act like, you know, I love both of the characters, right? I think Bakugo's annoying in the beginning, but then you kind of understand him a little more. Reizi, obviously, you know, a character you kind of feel bad for, and a character that, you know, you like a lot. Although it does kind of, you know, suck what happens to her and everything like that. Again, watch the movie. But I just need to make it clear. This was the first one. I think this was the first one that I saw. This is what kind of, like, started it. At least from what I understand, this is what started it. Oh, wait, hold on. This. The death battle I really want to see, Bakugo versus Bomb Devil. Who do you guys think would win? Now, I think Bakugo slams. And I just think that's not even a personal opinion. I think that's more of just an objective thing. I don't think Reizi even has nearly enough. This is also another thing I kind of have a problem with when it comes to this whole concept. Is that Reizi doesn't have any, like she has one arc where she's prevalent and uses her powers. Bakugo is in the entire series, every arc, practically, of, besides, like, maybe the Shie Saikai arc. And, like, the ones that don't involve the heroes. But besides that, he's got way more character development, way more power development. So it's like, it shouldn't even be a surprise that, yeah, oh, Bakugo is stronger. No, duh. No, duh, Bakugo is stronger. He's had way more character development. So, I think when it comes to power scaling, I think the reason a lot of it just ends up being bad is because people scale characters who either have, like, they'll ping characters who have a lot of development, a lot of powers, a lot of this, and then, like, characters with just speculation, you know? That's one of the biggest things I hate when it comes to power scaling, is they'll just be like, alright, well, this character could do this, and I theorize they can be this powerful, but there's no actual evidence to prove it. Even though the other character has feats, has all these other things that are like, and a lot of them, where it's like, okay, they can do this, they're this powerful, they're powerful. But then the other character's like, has potential, you know, if the writer wants them to be this powerful, they're going to be, but a lot of the times they're not currently. So I think that's what's going on here. Anyway, this was just kind of like a random video I wanted to make. I haven't made a video in a long time. Alright. I'm gonna keep it real. I haven't made a video in a long time. I literally just got done doing some, like, outside work trying to dig this stump up. It's why my hands look like this. This was just random kind of Charlie-esque video. It's just like, you know, I wanted to talk about it. Anyway, put in the comments, what do you think? All right, now I'm I'm not gonna say you're wrong. All right. Just put what you think in the comments about the whole situation, about the slander, because let's be real, it is slander, okay? But it's fun slander, you know. I just don't want anyone to like go off and either take the debate too seriously. That's why I'm just like I'm here to just simply state Bakugo wins. You know, don't take it too seriously, and also don't be one of those guys who's like stubborn and doesn't want to admit they're wrong and comes up with all these other stupid reasons. Like, don't be that guy. All right. If you want now, obviously these are fictional characters. If you want her to win, then yeah, she might win. All right. You want to paint, you want to draw, or you want to imagine her winning in this scenario or whatever. Go ahead. I'm not gonna stop you. You know, and in your head, in your world, she wins. But if we're speaking logical versus battles, Bakugo wins. That's all I have to say. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.